What's going on YouTube? Watsim here again with another A-Class Forza 6 tuning video. And today, as you can see, we have the wonderful Chevy Bel Air. I say wonderful because it surprised me. This car's a beast. This car is an absolute tank. I mean, I haven't got the best out of it yet, and I'm doing pretty decent times in it. It handles reasonably well, and it goes like the wind. So with that being said, let's get to the tune. Now, because this is such an old rock box out to start out with, you can pretty much do everything to it. So I started out with the engine, and I went for the good old faithful 4.7 litre V8. Again, that engine, as I say, as in Forza 5, on Forza 6 that engine is just OP. It's ridiculous. It is all things to all men. So if you have the opportunity to put that in a car, put it in the car. And yet again, we put in the centrifugal supercharger, because it gives you a decent amount of power for a very limited amount of your points. And it doesn't weigh too much either, so you know, it's great. Covers all bases. Aero wise, we've got the usual adjustable aero on the front, adjustable aero on the rear, and nothing else. Didn't put any of these on because it's needless, it's just decoration. Tyres, we've gone for the full fat race tyre this time, thank God for that. Actually, I'd be able to put that onto a car for once. And as you can see, the handling is only 5.6, so you kind of need to. If you go down here, it's a 5.4 or 5.8. That's not going to work. With a chassis like this and a car of this type, you're going to need race tyres, 100%. And we've gone quite wide as well. On the front, we've got 275s. On the rear, we've gone as wide as we can with 345s. And now that is an awful lot of rubber to be putting down on the road. So this thing is pretty stable in the corners. And really, if I wanted to make it a bit quicker, I could probably go down there. But you can see it only gains me 1 point, so there's not really much point in that. I think where it's at right now, it gives me the best balance. Wheels, we've gone for the usual, what I usually do, you know, heavier wheels. No, wrong thing. And I've made them bigger, just because adds stability, etc. Especially getting some more points back for it. We haven't got a clutch on. We have got the racing gearbox because it gives you the smoothest gear change, and it's just the best. If you can put it on. And especially with a car like this, it starts so low. I think it starts maybe D class. I can't remember, D or E class. It starts so low. You can put a lot of things like this on. You know, it's just brilliant, really. I think we've got the street drive line on. Did that at the end of the tune just to take a couple of pounds in weight. Yeah. And as usual, the racing diff. Now, this is all on. Everything here is on. So brakes, suspension, both roll bars, roll cage, and all the weight's been taken out. So yeah, self-explanatory really, as you should do for most cars. Now here we have the air filter. I believe is a race air filter. Yes. We have a racing exhaust, takes a lot of weight out, adds power, performance. We have racing valves. We have the racing engine block. We have racing pistons. We have the largest supercharger upgrade, and we have a racing flywheel. So as I say, this thing's pretty specced out for parts. You're not going to go too far wrong with it. Now, let's get to the tune itself. Tyre pressures, usual, 27.5. And I've gone off the thing, excuse me. Gear ratio, I haven't actually touched it. I liked it where it was. I said in a previous video, I like to have 5 gears in my A-Class cars. I've got 6 gears in this car, but it works. It provides a much more stable handling car through the corners. You can shift between gears a lot easier. You're not constantly out of the power band. You're always in the power band at every point of the corner. On the straights, it's great. It's just brilliant. As you can see, the 0 to 100 time is 7 seconds. 7 seconds flat. That's serious speed for this class. It does 175.5, so it's not lacking in pace either. This thing is amazing. There's no other word for it. We've got wheel line minus 1.3 at the front, minus 0.5 at the rear. We've got plus toe 0.1, minus toe 0.1, and 5.2 on the caster. I mean, all that I'm going to keep playing around with that. That's probably not the best it can be at the moment, but right now that's working for me. I've tested this car around Bathurst so far, which tells you that I was trying to make it into a bit of a handling car, because with that track's off camber corners, and it's tight section around the back, plus the power you've got to have on that track as well. This car was doing, I was doing 213s in it, which isn't super quick, but it's gonna get you a fair amount of wins in just the hoppers. I mean, you know, most people in the hoppers are pretty poor. This thing's gonna dominate a lot of hopper races. Against better opposition, it won't do so well right now, because they say, as with a lot of my tunes, they are being constantly finely tuned post this video, so it will improve. But right now, like I say, this thing is pretty damn good. Anti-roll bars, I seem to be set on having my front anti-roll bar set to 30-ish, between 30 and 31. I just find it most responsive and gives me the most grip. The rear on this one is different to most other setups because of the nature of the car and the nature of the chassis. It's a bit softer, 22.01. I don't know, that moment is where I've left it. That probably will change, but I liked it because it just seemed to, you know, give me more stability through the corners. Springs. Now this is interesting. These springs are currently set to the usual, after using my calculation that we used before, you know, the weight, and you know, it's in previous videos. But this is a recent change. I had left it standard just to see how it was, and to be honest, it wasn't too bad standard. I have saved and uploaded both specs for this. I've called it soft spec and hard spec. The soft spec is basically the spring rates on this are 200 less than what you're seeing now. So instead of 750 there, you've got 550, and instead of 665, it's 465. It's obviously a lot softer through the corners, and for some people they may prefer that. I thought it was okay. I was doing decent times in that, but as soon as I moved up and put my usual spring rates on, I was finding I was getting between half a second and a second more in terms of lap time. Now that's maybe just because of my driving style preference. Other people may prefer it the other way, but you know, I encourage you to test both, see what works for you. Reverse stiffness. Again, this is a lot softer than I usually have. I put 6.8 on the front and 6.6 on the rear. I usually go up to at least 8, but again, with the chassis of this type and the car of this type, things are always a bit different, a bit softer. But that works fine, and my bump stiffness is the usual. Downforce haven't touched it at all because it doesn't need it at the moment. Downforce is always something that I do very much after I've tuned the car elsewhere, because it's something that just kind of, you know, it's like the cherry on top for me, I think. So that'll be, if I move it at all, it'll be done much later. And brakes currently set at that worked quite well. My usual set worked quite well with it, although it was a little bit squirrely under heavy braking, so I may tweak that slightly. And the diff is set to 75 acceleration and 80 deceleration. As I say, this tune is pretty surprising. I encourage you to try it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you set some good times with it, and I hope you enjoy some races with it. And yeah, that's this one done. So thank you very much for watching. Please do drop a like and comment in the comment section and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.